we built that business to $1 million retail empire, I was not fulfilled. We transformed our lives completely, but then what? It might also be a little controversial. I was really opposed to that. I needed to learn an entirely new skill set. The gender roles really defined. A lot of people were a bit up in arms about the fact that I came from money. I didn't dive very deep into my financial situation, invested into stocks and crypto, some of it. What happens now? Make it into my next business. So that whole six-figure income lifestyle, that's gone. 47, completely changing my life. I'm okay with that. You can do that too. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Michelle. This is a part 2 follow-up to a video that I did about a month ago, talking about how I escaped the rat race. I left the city and started an entire new life based on self-sustainability and being closer to nature and getting back to my true self. So if you missed that video, I will link it up here and down in the description. And a short little recap. I was passed down a family business in 2012, and my husband James and I built that business. It took us almost a decade to $1 million retail empire with 3 locations. During that process, I realized that I was not fulfilled in such a lifestyle. It was partly the just running a business, the stress, the staff, the go, the always needing more, the hamster wheel, living in the city, the noise, everything about that was getting to me, but I didn't know what the other options were. And when the world shut down in 2020, we were given the chance to come out to a beautiful lake community in British Columbia, Canada, which is where we live now. And I absolutely fell in love with this place, and we packed up our whole life. My husband James had a very successful entrepreneur business as well. We transformed our lives completely moving out here. I just want to talk about what's next. So great, you leave the rat race, you get out of what's not serving you, you find your bliss, but then what? Then what happens? What we do out here on our homestead is nothing like what we did in the city. Our lifestyle is completely different. I think the first thing that really hit me when we came out here, and this might be different for everybody, it might also be a little controversial, but this is what happened with us, was we fell into these very specific gender roles. I was cooking, taking care of the house, taking care of the animals, and James was bucking the wood, heating the house, chopping down the trees, fixing things, building things. And at first I was really opposed to that. I remember having like a bit of a breakdown with James, just, being like, I don't want to be the stay-at-home mom, and that's not who I am. I'm not going to just cook and clean for you. And he was very understanding, but it's just how our life is now. We do a lot of the things, the roles together, but really I do all the cooking, most of the cleaning, all of the gardening. James bucks all the wood, keeps the house keeps the fire going to heat our house, builds all the things for us, all the infrastructure that we have going on here on the property. So yeah, that was probably the biggest thing, was the gender roles really defined, because in the city I was this CEO, businesswoman. We did cook a little bit at home, but we ate out a lot. There was, living in the city, the lifestyle is so different from living rurally. If you live in a rural area, it's almost like you go back in time of the olden days. Like my grandparents, my grandpa's in his 90s, and when he was growing up, that's what people did. So the women stayed home and they raised the kids and they did all the cooking and the cleaning, and the men went off to work. And I think, yeah, the gender role thing took me by surprise. I don't know what I expected moving out here, but yeah, that was a big change for me. I am completely fine with it now. In fact, I thrive in doing all of those things. So in in jumping into those gender roles, like I never cooked really in the city. I knew how to cook. I didn't really bake a lot. I didn't do any gardening. So I want to get into all of that. So what happened to me after moving out here was I needed to learn a entirely new skill set. So it started with cooking. It then evolved to baking. I had to teach myself how to grow all of my own food, our own food. So one of the big things that we're doing out here right now is we're building a massive geothermal greenhouse, which is pretty crazy thing to even think about, because when we lived in the city, I never grew anything. I never grew a single thing. We had some house plants and some flower pots outside, and that was about it. Learning to do all of those things, I had no one to teach me. I had YouTube University, thank you, YouTube. Books, I read a lot of books, watched a lot of YouTube videos, and everything that I learned how to do out here in terms of starting my seedlings, propagating them, bringing them out to the garden, getting the right soil, building the right planters, building the garden from scratch. We did. So all of those things I had to teach myself how to do. And once everything grew, I had to figure out how to harvest and preserve it. So that is a skill. That is a lost skill. I feel like people who live in the city, that's not true for everybody, but ooh, look who's back. Oh, it's the other kitty. This is Big Nettie. Hi, Ned. So lost skill for sure. There's definitely people in the city still doing that. Don't get me wrong, but I'd say for the most part, it's very, very lost skill, and something that I find so rewarding. So much more rewarding than trying to get those sales in the store and making sure all my staff are happy and running around like a chicken with my head cut off. So yeah, huge, huge shift in my lifestyle, huge change. Cooking, growing my own food inspires me to cook. I'm still learning, but I have to say that I've definitely come a long way, and it wouldn't have been something that I would have done in the city, just because of all the convenience around you. The fact that you can order out, there's meal prep, delivery services. That's actually what we did for the most part. There's all kinds of just conveniences in the city that don't give you the opportunity to perhaps explore growing your own food and cooking everything from scratch, including breads and baking and stocks and soup and all those wonderful things that I now do. So very happy about that. The other thing was raising chickens. So I know that I've touched on this before in some other videos, but our friend Paul brought us, I think it was 8 chickens. 2 weeks after we arrived here, there was a chicken coop here, but it needed a lot of work. It had been abandoned for years. And so I just jumped in the deep end with the chickens, knew absolutely nothing about chickens. Nothing. The only thing I knew about chickens is that I used to eat them, and I know that they laid eggs. That's it. So everything that I've learned about chickens, we have an entire playlist on our channel about me. You can watch me from the beginning to present day, learning about the chickens, and I think I've come a really long way with that. That's been just an absolute joy to go through the process of raising. We bought a bunch of babies. After we had had a fox attack. Going through foxes and hawks attacking my chickens, the losing chickens, to making sure that they're healthy, and what do you feed them, and how do you keep them warm in the winter. There's just so much. And then eventually we started getting some broody hens, and they were hatching out chicks. So figuring out how to do all of that, making sure all the chicks make it, and watching the mamas raise them, it's just been absolutely wonderful. I wouldn't change it for the world. But again, like, without a doubt, not something if I had stayed in the city, I would ever have the pleasure of being able to experience. So I am very grateful for that. Now, I might be jumping ahead a little bit here, but I wanted to talk about there was a number of comments in my last video. And if you want to be entertained, grab yourself some popcorn and a little bevy and go through those comments, because there's people are just pouring their hearts out to me. There's people telling me their whole life story, how they did a similar life change to what James and I have done. I've read, just so everybody knows, I read all of the comments, every single one, good, bad, ugly, wonderful, loving, they all get read. So thank you. A lot of people were a bit up in arms about the fact that, I came from money. I came from, like, you can only do this kind of thing when you have money. Well, I didn't dive very deep into my financial situation before I took over my parents' business and then built it into $1 million empire. So I didn't come from money. So I lived paycheck to paycheck before my mom passed away. That's how I inherited the business. Um, I lived in a shitty little apartment and drove a shitty little car and was very happy. But yeah, I didn't come from money. And I think anybody who hasn't run their own business might just assume that building a business to $1 million empire just happens, but it doesn't. It takes a lot of work. And that, at that point in my life, that is what I wanted to do in my life. And that is what I focused on and put all of my energy into. And that is why it was successful. So what happens now? I sold my business 2 years ago. I was able to live off the money that I got from selling the business, but I'm not going to lie, that money's running out. So some of it was invested into stocks and crypto. Most of it was reinvested into our property, into the buildings and the things that we're building on our property. And the reason for that is because I intend, and already am, going to take my homestead, our homestead where we live, and I'm going to make it into my next business. So my point, I guess, is that there isn't really any excuses for not taking the opportunity that you have around you. Everybody has something around them. Everybody has something that they are good at. Everybody has something that they know how to do, that if they put their mind to it and their whole purpose, soul, and energy into that, you can make a business. Your lifestyle and your paycheck does not have to come from something where you're working for someone else or somebody else is telling you what to do, or you're in the 9 to 5 grind. That does not need to be the case. And I would just like to be a testament to that. That whole 6-figure income lifestyle, that's gone for me now. Now I'm here, I have this homestead, and everything that we're doing here is working towards my next steps in my life. So 47, completely changing my life. I'm okay with that. You can do that too. I have already started a farm stand, a veggie stand community. So the vegetables and herbs and flowers and everything that I grow in my garden, I preserve and then set up to sell to the public. And it's mostly the local people in our community. um, so I had a veggie stand in our Hobbit hut on the first year where I was open on the weekends, and I sold everything from granola. I did some baking. I did my canned tomatoes. I did, oh, just all the veggies. I'll put some pictures up for you. And then last year, James, I think last February, James built me a little farm stand, which was supposed to be just for selling eggs. So we set up that, and I mean, I wish that I had more chickens because the egg selling thing is that's a real good one. If I could have the capacity to have, 15, 20 cartons of eggs out at my farm stand every day, I would sell them. I was only able to offer between 3 and 6 cartons a day. And then of course the chickens, they don't lay all year round. And then we had some that went broody, and there's all of these things going on. So it wasn't something that I could keep on doing. It's sort of a seasonal thing, I guess, is the best way to describe it. Hi, Ned. If you haven't met Ned, this is Ned. This is Ned and I are having our 1 year anniversary, actually. Ned is a rescue from Alberta, Canada. He was found on the side of the road in a cardboard box with his two brothers and brought to the Humane Society, where my brother and my sister-in-law fostered him and his brothers. I was not looking for a cat. I thought I hated cats. I'm a dog person. Went to go visit my brother, and this cat, he was just a tiny little kitten. He jumped up on my lap and gave me a kiss on the nose, and I fell in love. And they say that cats pick you. He definitely picked me. Anyway, we're in love. If Ned asked me to marry him, I would say yes. He's wonderful. He's converted me. Okay, bye, Ned. Oh my gosh, I completely lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, the eggs. So I don't force my chickens to lay eggs all year round like they do, for big corporations and stuff. Anyway, so I used that same farm stand and this year, and I sold my canned goods like my tomatoes and my tomato sauces. And once it was Thanksgiving and harvest, I did potatoes and I did all of these things. So my point is that if you look around you and you're passionate about something, you can make a business out of that. The best products and the best businesses come from people who are doing what they love. So when I had my retail store, it was a consignment store. It was a high-end consignment store. We built it into a high-end consignment store. And that's how I did it. I took over the business from my parents, and it was like my girlfriends called it the old lady blouse shop, but it had character. It was cute. It had been there since 1975. Everybody knew about it. And I worked there off and on for 15 years and always saw a vision of how it could be better. What could I bring to the community? So that's another thing with starting your own business and entrepreneurship. It's like, what is there a lack of, and how can I fill that void? So that's exactly what I did with the consignment store. So there wasn't a high-end consignment store. So a place where you could feel like you're shopping new, but you are buying secondhand, recycled, really unique, cool clothing in a funky environment that is set up really nicely, beautifully merchandised, and smells good. So that's exactly what I set out to do. There was none of that. There was not a single thing like that in the city that I lived in. And I did that and I accomplished that. And it worked because I was passionate about it, and it worked because it was a something that was needed in the community, in the city. And that is exactly what I want to do here on our homestead. So this 1,300 square foot geothermal greenhouse that James and I are building, and we really hope to have done this year, 2025. That is going to be the stage for my next big project. So in the last couple years, when I've been teaching myself how to garden and growing my own food and cooking with all that food that I've grown, I have built this love and passion for self-sustainability for starters, being able to grow your own food and not have to go to the grocery store. First of all, pay ridiculous prices that we do here in Canada now, thanks to our government. Not know really where your food is coming from or what the heck they're spraying it with, even if it's listed as organic. Having stuff coming from, thousands of miles away, different countries, Mexico, Peru, Chile, you're losing like 95% of your nutrients during that process. They're not being ripened on the vine, they're being picked and then shipped for weeks. Anyway, I am so passionate about being able to provide food that is organically grown, which means I don't use any sprays, preservatives, not preservatives, but anything in my soil is literally grown in cow shit. I know that might sound weird, but look it up. It's the best thing to grow stuff in. Cow and horse. I don't use any fertilizers. I don't use anything. So everything is 100% grown, and I want to be able to do that to the best of my abilities year round. So that is my next passion. That is my next big thing. The last couple years have taught me so much about how I can do that. I never in a million years, if you would have asked me 5 years ago if I would be sitting here talking about growing my own food all year round and living in a homestead, I would have thought you were crazy. But here I am. You can completely change your life. If you are not happy, doesn't matter how old you are, figure out what it is that's going to make you happy. Get out of your comfort zone, get out of your city, get out of your town, wherever you are, explore, figure out what it is, because life is just too short to be stuck. And even if you have what you think everybody else in the world would want, if it's not for you and you're not fulfilled and you're not happy, you need to do something different. And there's no excuse. Money is not an excuse. Kids are not an excuse. Your family is not an excuse. You are the most important thing, and you need to take care of you. Well, I hope that my story is inspiring to you and helps you with your journey. It obviously, if you've clicked on this video, you're either thinking about it or you've done it, or there's a reason why you're here. So I want to hear from you down in the comments. I want to hear your story. I want to hear what you think. I want to hear what you want to do. I want to hear all of the things. And I really want to thank everybody who has joined us on our channel at The Thai Life. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for considering to change your life for the better. I really hope that you do. I hope that you stick around and watch the rest of our progress here on the homestead. I think we have a good 20 years of projects that we have planned. The greenhouse, I keep looking out the window because that's where it is. The greenhouse is about, I don't know, 75% done, but once that gets done, I just feel like my life is going to go in this upward trajectory, even more so than it already has in the last couple of years that we've been out here. So I hope you stick around and stay tuned for that. And oh, is there a micey? Is there a mousey net? I think there's a mouse over there. Yep. Ned. And lastly, before we go, I just want to let you guys know that, again, in the spirit of starting your own business, doing what you love and making a job out of that, is I have just recently launched a website. So it's taken me a long time to get to this point because I wanted to figure out what I was really good and passionate about making and selling. And it turns out that that is tallow body butter, bath bombs, and bath salts. I absolutely love using tallow as skincare. I started using I would buy the jugs of tallow and I would rub that on me all over my body, my face included. Now I figured out how to make this beautiful whipped body butter, which I'm selling on the site. It is amazing. I have a signature Michelle hippie blend that I use for scents. The ingredients are listed on the website. I will link the website down below. Have a peek. Everything is made here in small batches by me with love on our homestead. All of the ingredients for all of the items are locally sourced, 100% natural, organic. There's only 3 things on the website, but I'm telling you right now, these are 3 things that I cannot live without personally. So if it's for yourself or for a gift for someone, have a peek at the website. If you spend more than, I think it's $100, you can get free shipping. So you can stock up. Yeah, I can't speak highly enough about these products. I wouldn't have started a website or been selling them if it wasn't 100% Michelle approved. The tallow skincare has completely transformed my skin. I absolutely love it. I've given sample jars out to friends and family and they are raving about it. So don't mean to toot my own horn here, but it's pretty awesome stuff. And I know that tallow is a pretty big deal right now. People are really starting to realize all of the crap and synthetic stuff that they're putting in body care products, including like even soaps, body washes, face creams, face washes, all of that stuff I've wiped completely off the table in terms of what we use around here. I use Castile soap to clean my floors. I'm working on a dishwasher detergent tab because those little packety ones that you throw in, they're full of carcinogenics and poison. They've been linked to stomach issues, breaking down your stomach tissues. Anyway, I'm getting away from myself, but there'll be more home care products on there once I figure out how to make them and get them completely dialed in. I will be selling those on there too because I'm really passionate about that. Being out here really makes you realize what you are putting into your bodies, how, you know, there's so many unnecessary convenience things. For example, those dishwasher tabs that you don't even think twice about, you just throw them in your dishwasher, but these are things that you're eating your food off of. So you really, you know, being out here has just opened up that part of my brain where I start to think about things a little bit differently. What I'm putting on my body, what I'm putting in my body, what I'm using around my house to clean. You know, the cats are walking on, if you're using those Swiffer wet mops, the cats' little toe beans are on there and then they're licking their paws. So lots of things, lots and lots of things to come. I am done rambling. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate every single one of you. Be sure to drop me a comment and we'll catch you on the next video.